Zach is our employee here, helps us out a lot. And then Bob is from Georgia. He comes up here to drive Beet truck, and he's about where you guys are at is, are we ever going to get going? And, he stays in the camper right alongside of the shop here, and we appreciate him coming up and sticking around, through a tough year like this. He first cousin, so he grew up just down the road here a few months. So history of our farm, first of all. Let's go back to Mark Crystal. It is a co-op, so we the farmers actually own the company, and so we want you guys to feel comfortable here. It's very important to us. We especially the RVers. That's a huge deal to have you guys come up and help us with our harvest. Without you guys, we need somebody to dump our trucks, and without you guys, we can't do it. So we really appreciate that, and I want you to know that. And I mentioned this at the supper the other night, that the first question I always get from other shareholders, because I'm on the board of directors, the first question I just about always get from the other shareholders is, how's the private health doing? Are they doing all right? And are they staying warm? And are the conditions good for them? Are we taking care of them? So I hope we are. History of this farm goes back to the mid-50s, early 50s. Our dad grew up on a farm just west of Hillsboro, just west of where you guys stay at the campsite. And his brother got married, and his new wife moved into the farm, and my dad and her didn't get along all that great, so he bought the farm up here. They mortgaged the home quarter just west of Hillsboro to buy this farm up here, and then he married our mother. And they eventually had 8 children, Paul and I being 2 of them, 7 boys, 1 girl. Dad was a potato farmer, and he had a very untimely death. He died in 1972 at the age of 46. Mm-hmm. Paul and I were pretty young at the time. I was only 11 and 8 years old, and our oldest brother was about 16, 17 at the time. So my mother took over the farm. She was the owner-manager for quite a few years, and after college, Paul and I returned back to the farm and farmed for many years. So kind of an unusual story. Most farmers talk about farming with their dad. We talk about farming with our mother. So that was a little unusual. And then we lost Mom a little over 10 years ago in a car accident, tragic car accident, and Paul and I have kind of taken the reins and done this since. And now we've got the next generation. Justin is our son, and he'll be the next guy to run this farm. So that's kind of the history. Dad was a potato farmer. He did have beets. The plant at Hillsboro was built in 1972, or started in 1972, the same year he died. He would have been a sugar beet farmer eventually, there's no question. When it's right on top of your farm like that, he would have done that. But Mom had the foresight when she quit farming for 2 years and then went back into it, and she had the foresight to buy beet shares at that time. That gives us the right and obligation to raise and deliver beets. So that's kind of the history of the farm. We don't just raise sugar beets here. We raise 7 different crops. We raise barley, wheat, dry edible beans, and 2 classes of dry beans, pinto beans and black beans, and we can show you what they look like if you don't know any of these things. We also raise sunflowers, corn, and soybeans besides sugar beets. So we raise 7 different crops here. We do focus on probably the beets more than any crop, because this is our crop that gives us farm stability. But we do raise all the other ones, and we still have a lot of the other crop out yet. We still have our soybeans out, we have some black beans out, and corn and sunflower. What am I missing?
How many shareholder growers are there in co-op?
Shareholder growers, there's 2,800 shareholders, but probably a better way to describe it is there's about 800 grower units. So in this farm, there's 4 shareholders. Paul's a shareholder, I'm a shareholder, Justin's a shareholder, and then our extended family owns some shares together. So there's 4 shareholders within this grower unit. So there's probably 800 farms like this up and down the valley. We would consider ourselves extremely average. What you're going to see here is equipment that's not brand new. It's probably a little bit used, but it's not old either. So this is an extremely average farm.
The truck behind it's a 1978.
Okay, some of the equipment's a little bit old.
Most of the stuff.
Most of the stuff. We farm 5,000 acres. 700 of that is in sugar beets. The seed is a seed. It looks just like that. except you might put a little treatment on it to protect it from insects and fungicide or fungus. But the beet seed's a little different. It's just a little tiny thing. You know what garden beet seed looks like? It's the same thing as that. So that little seed turns into the big beets that you guys buy. So Justin's gonna run over and see if we have a peel of it somewhere.
Do you ever cook those beets and eat them on the table?
Have you ever tried?
No, I've licked them because you get a nice clean cut and.
There's a difference between the red garden beets and the sugar beets.
I don't know of anybody that's cooked one.
I like eating red beets.
How about yellow beets?
I can't answer that.
It's just one of the new
Why don't they
varieties.
take that top, when you guys cut that top?
Yeah, good
and
question.
Use that for, repelletize that or something?
Well, they used to use it for cattle feed.
Yeah,
And it'd actually be a good cattle feed, but it's also good fertilizer for us. So you weigh that option of, okay, do we cut these off and try to process it for cattle feed? Take some money to do that. By the time you go through all that work, it's more valuable just returning it to the soil.
What about as beet greens? I mean, you
That's
know.
what he's talking about.
No, I mean for us to eat.
No,
I mean, some of us eat beet greens. You go to a food co-op and they got beet greens and you pay a premium.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't
It's like
answer that
spinach.
question, but yeah. So this is the seed. This is the seed, and it is treated, but and it's pelletized. So it's actually the raw seed has got rough corners and everything else, but they make it nice and round so it seeds a little bit better. Yeah, we'll show you the planter. So this is the row crop planter. This plants all the corn, dry beans, sunflowers, and sugar beets. And you put your seed up in the two big yellow tanks in the back, and this round tank in the front is for fertilizer. These two wings, when you bring it out to the field, these two wings fold out. So this is a straight bar all the way across. You can see the back there. It turns into a bar all the way across the back, and it's a 24-row planter. So then the seed is pneumatically or blown up into each one of these units, and then the unit will seed it. These are very precision for depth.
Just
For-
rows on them there.
Yep. So this is one row here. It's a very precise tool where these wheels will keep your depth right at a perfect point all the way through. Once it gets into here, can't get this open. There we go. The seed gets blown into this little holder right here, and then from there it's actually vacuum that seeds it, because it's got seed in here, and then there's a plate right here. I thought there was one in here, and there isn't. But there's a plate in here with holes in it, and there's suction on this side, and as that plate is turning, the seed will get sucked into the hole and then drop down. So each seed is placed exactly, in the case of beets, about 4.5, 5 inches apart. If it's corn, it's probably getting placed, we make a few changes, and it's probably getting placed every 9 inches or so. You get one seed per drop. Works. Removes the tops off the beets. And all it is 3 drums. You can see them underneath with flails on them. Those flails spin and take the tops off. So then you just have the ball beet left to harvest with.
So it's not using any kind of blade. It's just
No, not this one. Some toppers do.
Yeah.
In the front they have what they call a seed cup.
kinda smacks them
These are
off.
rubber. The front drum has carbide tips in them. That
So then the greens are laying on the ground after that?
yeah, kind of between the rows.
Does the lifter then turn them under, or you go back after the beets are out and turn it under?
No, they get kind of covered with the beet lifter because those grab rolls are eliminating the dirt. That all falls on top of the beet leaves.
You don't have to make a...
We actually like to have those beet leaves a little bit on top and cause a little less wind erosion in winter rather than having just black soil on top.
So it's whipping it out one side or the other.
Just puts it between the rows. So,
okay.
So if you're driving the countryside during harvest, you'll see this topper out and you can see what it looks like. All you see are these cone baldies after the tops are off. This is the job I want in a couple years. It's a little more relaxing.
what's wrong?
Grow showing you, but.
Spilled some
Here's
seed
sugar
there or
beet.
something.
So that's the top, this machine will take them off and you know what the rest of the beet looks like.
See now, so you should take some of those in and try them, see if you like spinach.
This is a piece of machinery that lifts the beets. Beets are planted in rows. And you just line the tractor and the equipment, we call it the lifter. You line the lifter up on the rows, and these wheels are free spinning. So as you put it down in the dirt, you can imagine that beet is coming, that row is coming right here. These wheels will turn in the ground, and they'll just pop that beet right out. It goes onto the chain back there, onto those rollers in the back, and those rollers are, it's no different than the planters. They've got the same, I think you call them the dirt screens, we call them grab rolls. Those grab rolls will eliminate most of the dirt, and then it's just the process of bringing the beets back, and over around up into this hopper up here, and then over into the truck. That boom there goes up, and then the truck drives underneath, it drives alongside, and we fill the truck as we're going down the field.
Dave, this is a
Simple as
takeoff from the potato device?
Potatoes are different because they don't have what we call lifter wheels. They actually dig down in the soil,
They dig.
and then there's chains that follow up. So you're actually putting that right down in the dirt. So a little bit different.
Some people still use that for the beets?
No.
No?
All the beet lifters.
Because I'd heard, that it was like a
Yeah.
transition from the
Yeah,
potato.
prior to the wheels, they had what they call shoes.
Yeah.
And they
shoes.
kind of, they were just dragging on the ground and they kind of popped the beet. I hate to use this analogy, but it's like pitching a zip. You kind of pop that beet right out of there, where this rolls it out. So as far as I know, this is the only design for a beet lifter now is with the wheels.
Okay, you need to be right on the roll then.
You do. It's a piece of cake. It is. You know why? It's called GPS. We have auto steer, so with the operator running this,
He can go to
sitting up
sleep?
in the tractor, he pushes a button, tractor goes right down the road. Once this is on the road, you'll see these forks. There's one here, one there, and one right in the middle. There's two bars that go down, so the beets go between those two bars. If they start hitting on one, it'll nudge the machine over this way, or it'll nudge it. So we call that a row finder, and it'll actually keep it going exactly down the row. Wow. These forks on the outside do keep the height where you want it. So they're kind of doing the same thing as they're kind of dragging on the ground. If they start hitting stuff and it bumps them up, it'll lift the machine up and it'll lower it. The easiest job in beet lifting is the lifter operator. That's why I do that.
Take a book with you?
No, you still have a lot to watch. There's a lot of machinery moving.
He's always on his phone.
So this machine is only for beets?
Only for beets. That's
And
all you're
so
going to use
you
for it.
can't modify it to do anything
No,
else?
only for sugar
Got
beets.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then how long does it take you after the season's over to clean it?
Well, we blow it all off, and you got to scrape a lot of places. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a day to clean up the lifter.
Fun.
When it's muddy like this, making it sound, there's places where mud cakes up and you gotta keep cleaning it, so it's not that simple for the lifter operator.
And
Depending
you have
upon
to
the
plug the whole
conditions.
thing up with dirt too
Oh yeah,
before.
oh yeah, beets, dirt, you name it. I've had that thing right here through on those grab rolls where I didn't realize they had stopped turning right away. Doesn't take long to fill that up. And you gotta dig them all out by hand, and it gets to be a big job. You guys know it. You guys working on the pilers. So with the muddy conditions, we've made some modifications to the combine. One is the tracks. Normally that would be a wheel. But Zach and Justin put on this other cable system in case it gets stuck.
It's a mud ox, so you hook on to it from the back, and it pulls from the front of the combine instead of pulling on the back. Actually, it goes from all the way to the front of the combine.
That series of cables under there, that's if you want it.
Yeah, they hook on back here.
Yeah,
Be careful though. Pull it out. Use the hand, guys.
I didn't realize you got that on yesterday.
Hopefully we don't have to use it. It's just on there.
We don't have to use it. So the tracks go through a lot more mud than just regular wheels without getting stuck.
That stack of tires over there, what was on the combine before the tracks?
Yeah, duals.
This is, what bean head for soybeans?
We use this head for the small grains, the soybeans, the dry beans, and then we've got different heads for the sunflowers and corn. We have to make some modifications for the different crops, but it's not anything too crazy. Back up. We've already used it once because the tractor went down for a couple hours on Saturday. So we pulled this out. Pardon?
Not as many rows.
This is 8 row and just a lot smaller. But it was a wonderful lifter. I remember when we got this one, I thought I died and went to heaven. They could never make anything better. And we used it for, I don't know, 15 years or so. Maybe not that many, but at least 10. So